Welcome to the MCPSS Athletic Show. My name's Brad Lowell, District Athletic Director for the Mobile County Public Schools. And on today's show, we're featuring the head football coaches of BC Rain High School and LeFlore High School. They start the year off Thursday night at Ladd Stadium at 7 o'clock, kickoff to the football season. And our first guest on the show that we're going to be talking with and speaking with is Coach Rick Cauley. Rick, thanks for coming on the show this morning.
Of course.
Veteran of Mobile County Public Schools. Most of your tenure, was it Murphy High School? How long were you at Murphy?
18 years officially, 19 unofficially.
All right, and that was 3 or 4 as the head coach?
3 as the head coach.
Okay, and this year you're taking on a new task with BC Rain. What's it like coming into a program, even though you're a veteran coach, of coming in as a first-year coach to really any program?
Well, I think the key is when you come in. You know, obviously you want to get to know your players as soon as you possibly can. I'm kind of in a unique situation where I didn't start until the summer. And, you know, the kids didn't really get an off season, and that's where you set the groundwork for your expectations and things like that. So it's unique in that, you know, we went through the getting to know you phase and trying to get ready for a football season at the same time.
Right.
So a lot of the groundwork and things like that you would normally set the tone, we've kind of had to skip over and get straight into football prep. And, you know, that's not ideal, but the kids have been good. We started with the first week 15, and we've grown to about 55 right now. And we had 62 last week, and now we're down to 55. And
right.
Who knows, it may grow to another 60 next week. So that's kind of what you get whenever you start late. And, you know, we're just trying to roll with it and, you know, do what we can for the players that we have.
Yeah, I mean, you brought up a good point. Coming in at that point in time, your other schools have pretty much been training since the end of last season. And so you're almost half a year behind trying to catch up and get your guys ready to play right off the bat, which I know makes it really difficult. Classification-wise, you guys are playing in the 6A Region 1, which we all know is a very tough region, and BC Rain is the bottom of the classification when talking about student body numbers. You coach most of your years in 7A ball. And 6A region, even though you've played some opponents, you'll see a lot of new faces. What are your thoughts about the region?
Well, it's a tough region, and we've played some of those guys. You know, back in Murphy, we'd played Daphne. You know, we played Blunt. We played those guys, and we played Saraland. So I'm familiar with, you know, the brand of football and how good it is. Mm-hmm. And it's definitely a tall task for our coaches and players to prepare for that. And you know, we're going to go through a stretch after we play a really good LeFlore team. We go Saraland, Blunt, Daphne, Spanish Fort before we play Williamson. And
right.
And that's a rough stretch. I don't care who you are.
That's right.
I mean, that would be rough if you're a 7A team to go through that stretch, and it'd be rough for anybody. So, you know, how we manage that is going to be really important for the back half of our season. And, you know, obviously you want to go out there and you want to try to win them all, but you got to be smart about how you use your players, and when you don't have depth. You know, I was telling Coach Shamburger that of our 50, we've got 25 that's never played high school football. Wow. So, you know, it's a tall task to manage.
No doubt. And coming in to a program in your first year, sometimes it's difficult to be able to bring in some coaches. Tell us a little bit about your assistant coaches. Were you able to bring in anybody?
We were. Coach Mr. Sanderson was really good about creating opportunities to bring in coaches. We got John Williams from Saraland. He worked for me for years at Murphy. Ben Jones from Murphy that I worked with for a long time, and that's our coordinators. And I was able to get Ed Mayfield comes over in the afternoon from Burns, and you know, he was one of my feeder schools, so he's very familiar with me and what we do. We were able to retain Coach Tim Wright and Rodney Gill that were already there. And I have a volunteer guy that comes over. He's a student at South Alabama that does a heck of a job with the offensive line. And we were able to get someone to come over from Pillins. Coach Richmond is also coming over and helping us out. And in a late addition, like right when school started, we were fortunate to get Devontae Sigler is doing retract at BC Rain. He's working with our defensive line, and he's a he's a legend on the Parkway, rightfully so. He was a heck of a football player, and he's doing a really good job, talking to the kids and getting them to, see how they can use football to, better their life.
Yeah, it's kind of interesting because when you come in, a lot of times you're not able to bring in a lot of people, so you want to find a staff that gels. So sometimes you have a lot of guys that are willing to carry over onto your new staff, or that you may want to try to keep to carry over, and then bringing in new guys, hopefully to get a little camaraderie going, especially early on. I know that's important. Some of your players, I know you've learned who your players were. I know you know who the guys from last year are returning. Who do you think are going to be a few of your key players coming into this year?
We returned a few people on the offensive line. We're big up front. Jonathan Williams, James Hudson, Trayvon Gray, James Jones, and Will Blake. They kind of anchor our offensive line. And they're big kids, and they do have experience playing. We have a receiver, running back type kid named Kendrell Davis. He's an athlete. He plays kind of everywhere, and he's a dynamic player. And we're looking for him to really step in there and do good things for us. Defensively, we got Kamar Thompson, played a lot of offense last year, playing Mike linebacker. Really inexperienced on the defensive line. Now, we have a lot of them. That's one of the positions where we're fairly deep, but not a lot of experience there. We took a receiver that they had last year, Javante Dortch, and moved him to corner. And the kid can really run, and that's kind of his. He said, I can go play corner, and he was good immediately. Like, he's pretty good corner. And another kid named Tyreek King that played last year that I actually coached his brother over at Murphy, and he's doing a good job for us as well.
Yeah, when I was talking to Coach Jones the other night, your defensive coordinator, I know he was speaking. He seemed to be optimistic, especially about the secondary. Felt like he might have some guys that could play back there a little bit.
Yeah, they did really well in the 7-on-7 that we participated in. They're good at man coverage. They do not have a lot of experience in playing football, so a lot of times, what they know and what they can do from. And I know it sounds crazy, but they've played basketball. They've played man-to-man. They know how to do those things. So making it difficult and trying to teach them something in a month and a half that
right.
they've never done before could cause us problems. So we're trying to take the skills that they already have and using that.
You definitely cannot come in trying to implement a complicated scheme. Try to be as simple and as fun as you can be.
And they do have a good time. I mean, at the end of practice all the time, they're like, man, that was fun today. And, that you want to hear that as a coach, but you're also trying to get your work in. We're very simple on offense. We try to dress it up and make it look complicated at times, but the concepts are very simple. Our goal is to get the players the ball and let them go do things, and try to get out of the way sometimes as coaches. We don't want to make things so complicated that it slows them down. We want them to be able to play fast.
Well, that's some good points. Well, it should be interesting this year because you always, you didn't play a spring game, and therefore
we didn't have a spring at all. We didn't even have practice.
And so you really coming in and really. It's yet to be determined how your kids react in the game situation. So, but we'll bring you back in the second half of the program. I appreciate it. We're going to go to break, and we'll be back with Coach Shamburger from LeFlore.
The more parents are involved in school, the more likely it is a child will succeed. Children with involved parents and attend school regularly make better grades and have better social skills. Every involved parent makes a difference.
Get involved. Ask about your child's day. Explain how your education matters. Parent involvement, it matters.
You can find more information on parent involvement at mcpss.com.
I'm Mac McElroy, and I'm a junior here at Baker High School. My future plans after I graduate high school are to go to Auburn University and get a mechanical engineering degree. And taking the AP courses could help me get credits to decrease the amount of time I had to be in college. Baker High School has prepared me for college, career, and life readiness by allowing me to participate in these clubs and classes that I'm taking now.
Welcome back to our show. We're here with Coach Shamburger from LeFlore High School, head football coach. Coach, thanks for joining us.
Glad to be here.
We were talking earlier and excited about a new season starting up and coming into your 7th season at LeFlore, getting ready to play Thursday night against BC Rain. Coach, you've had a little all-season switch by changing classifications, going from 6A to 5A. Tell us a little bit about what that's going to do for your program.
I think for my guys, depth-wise, it's going to help us out. You know, playing in 6A Region 1, most of those teams had at least 100 or better, and we're dressing about 40 to 45 kids. So it was a little disadvantage, you know, number-wise. You know, a lot of times late in the game, our kids will run out of gas because we just didn't have the subs for them. And but with 5A, you know, everybody's right around the same numbers, and I think that'll be a good deal for us.
Well, good. Who would be some of your new region opponents that you'll be playing?
We got Satsuma, we got Citronelle, Wilcox Central, Faith Academy, you know, some of those guys, Viger, and feel good about that. I think we'll compete well with those guys.
Yeah, because St. Paul's ended up moving up to 6A.
Right, they moved up to 6A.
Plus Satsuma was one that also moved up from 4A to 5A, so it's kind of a new region, the way it's built.
Yeah, but I still think it's a tough region. I think we're going to have some good opponents in there. And I think some good coaches in there. And, but I think overall, I think it'll be a good opportunity for me and my kids.
Well, Coach, tell us how your off-season went.
Off-season went great. We started up in January, been going since then. Played a really good Theodore team in spring, and we thought, you know, my kids, I had a lot of kids coming in that's going to be new, and playing a good, tough Theodore team really helped us out. Gave us some film. Let us know what we need to work on during the summertime, and did a lot of 7-on-7, and feel good about where we are now.
Well, that's always, it's nice to kind of have an opportunity to measure yourself to see kind of where you are at the end of the spring. I know some people like to play a spring game, some people don't. There's advantages and disadvantages. You always cringe with injuries, of course, because it's pretty late in the year. You know, you're only really about 2 or 3 months from the season actually starting.
Exactly.
You know, do you like actually playing that spring game, or how does that work for you guys?
I do. I enjoy playing them. Anytime you can get a good team like Theodore or someone like that, and give you a chance to measure your kids to see where you are, and also, like I say, give you some film from over the summertime, something that you can work on. So we enjoy playing them.
Tell us about your assistant coaches.
We got Andre Epps. We got Dwayne Hill. We got Roger James and Marcus Poe, guys like that that's on the staff. They're doing a really good job. Have really one coach here on campus. Everybody else is coming from other schools. And but we're making it work. We get started around 4 o'clock every day, and we get done about 6, so we're making it work.
Yeah, it seems that a lot of schools these days actually do have a lot of coaches that come from maybe the middle school, the elementary schools, because you know you have a hard time of bringing some into units at your school that's just not available. So you have to go out and find guys that can still come out and help.
Well, that's willing to transport over here. So I mean, but it's been good. We enjoy it.
Well, we know you lost a key player last year in your running back. What are, a really good player.
Yes, he was.
What, coming into this year, who are your players that you feel like that are going to really step in and contribute?
We feel like our offensive line, you know, we got Marquez Tatum. He's a kid that has about 10, 11 offers right now. Big size kid, about 6'3", about 255. He'll go both ways for us. We feel like Hezekiah Belfon will be good, our quarterback, which is a sophomore kid that would have been the starter this past year, but hurt his ankle in the first game. We think those guys there really, and also Derek Dugans, we think they'll do a really good job for us this year.
Well, do you have more returning on offense or defense?
On offense, we got pretty much the entire offensive line coming back. We graduated one kid, and that's a real solid unit. We think our defensive front got kids coming back there. We think the offensive line, defensive line is the veteran group that we have.
Well, what is I've been molded, and I'm sure most coaches believe offensive line and defensive line.
Exactly.
If you struggle there a little bit, it's going to be tough.
It'll be a tough year for you.
That's where the battles are won.
That's right.
What are things that you preach to your kids on a daily basis as far as your either keys to being successful or just the beliefs or core values of your team?
We just try to tell them to always be accountable. We think that's very important. If you're doing something, be accountable for it. Whatever it is, always be a man and be a stand-up guy. And I think that'll carry you a long ways.
Yeah, and I think in today's, a lot of times, there's so much emphasis on winning.
Right.
And especially at our level, at the high school level, there's so much more to that.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, everybody wants to win, but also it's really important to mold student athletes into good men.
Exactly, because eventually they're going to leave high school and possibly go off to college, and they're going to have a family of their own. So they have to learn to be accountable and be the leader of the household. So that's what we try to preach to them.
That's right, and we talk about how just being a part of something, for example, football, some of the key traits that you teach from football, as you mentioned, being accountable.
Mm-hmm.
And it's kind of like having a job, being at practice every day on time,
Right.
being disciplined, not getting in trouble in school, or academically having to fulfill their academic standards in order to remain eligible. I mean, all those things can only help them in the future.
Exactly. I mean, I think all that carries over into, as being a man, as you get older. I mean, you have to be to work on time, you have to go out there and earn a paycheck, and you have to take care of your family. So I think all that plays a part.
Absolutely. And you've had an administration change last year with Mr. Henderson. How's that been?
It's been great. Mr. Henderson is very supportive. He's doing some good things around here. I think the kids are buying into what he's selling. And I think if you can walk our halls right now, you won't see not one kid in the hallway. They're all in class right now. He's doing an outstanding job, him and his staff.
That's great to hear. We're going to go to break, and when we come back, we'll have both Coach Shamburger and Coach Cauley for our last segment.
We've established a culture of innovation here at Mary B. Austin. We've made it our goal to disrupt the status quo of traditional learning as we prepare our students for their future in this global society. We call our students the Austin Innovators because we want to develop outside-the-box thinkers. We want to develop students who think critically, who think entrepreneurially, and who can collaborate well with others. Our focus is entirely on our students and engaging them in meaningful, real-world learning experiences. Here at Austin, we've been able to do this through our seamless integration of project-based and service learning, the Talents Unlimited model for critical and creative thinking, design thinking and digital literacy through our emerging technologies and communication labs, integration of fine arts, and a focus on 21st century skills and entrepreneurship.
Do you have what it takes to be an Envision graduate? We are pioneering students to be all they can be, from 6th grade all the way to 12th grade.
I definitely would recommend Envision to other students who feel the way I feel. They really work with you, and they've gotten tutors, and you have online teachers to talk to.
It starts right here. It starts right now. Envision Virtual Academy. Enroll today.
To be in the AP program, it not only offers you great opportunities in the classroom, but also outside. Like being a member of the AP program, I can come into college already being a sophomore in college, so I can completely skip 1 year just by completing all my AP credits and by taking the classes and passing the exams. I would recommend other students to take AP classes because being a member of the program offers so many benefits and helps you decide what you want to do in the future and where you want to go with your life.
Welcome back to our last segment. Here we're bringing both coaches on, Coach Shamburger and Coach Cauley, who's going to tee it up Thursday night to start off the 2018 football season. There's been a few changes when we were at the summer conference with the Alabama High School Athletic Association. They talked about a few specific things and just kind of want to talk generally. I'll ask both of you, what are your thoughts about them? Okay. Coach Cauley, instant replay.
I mean, I get what they're trying to do with that, but for every school I've ever worked out, we don't have the funds for anything like that. I mean, adding another cost to schools who don't have the money is, I don't know, it makes it really tough because your fans are going, oh, why don't you do this and why don't you do that? You know, if we had that money, I would rather spend it on taking a kid to a college camp so they can get seen and
right.
Benefit their future. We're already paying officials to do the game,
right? So
we're going to pay for somebody else to watch over the officials. That just seems like an unnecessary cost for a high school program,
right.
And I think it's going to take away from the high school game. That's my personal opinion. I know people will say, well, I lost a game because of this and that, but you lose a game for a variety of I mean, I've lost games by being dumb myself, and you know, you can't go out and buy a robot coach to do that for you. So I would rather the game just be the way it is, and when we have extra money, spend it on the kids.
Right, and of course this year, you know, so I guess came down from the National Federation, and Alabama has decided to kind of be a pilot, one of the pilot states to implement this. So it is optional. It's not where it's mandatory. If I'm not mistaken, isn't it to where if one school has it, then you're supposed to use it at that game if they have purchased it?
I think that's the way it's supposed to go. Mm-hmm. But I agree with Rick. I think, you know, you got officials out there. I think, you know, human error is part of the game, and I think it should be continued played that way, and not actually going in under a shed and looking to see what's called.
That's right, and what you'll find out is most of the time it is the right call.
Right.
And I'm interested to see kind of how it slows down the game, you know, or what kind of emphasis that it gets put as far as the outcome of a game itself. So it should be interesting to see. There's been some kicking changes, not necessarily on the varsity level,
right.
but with the JV, freshman, or middle school, and they came out with 3 options. You know, one option is live, just like it's been. Mm-hmm. Your second option is to run them out there, not go live, and just kick the ball. And then your third option is just not even put a special teams unit out there, just move the ball 30 yards or 35 yards down the field. Coach Shamburger, what are your thoughts about the kicking game?
I think it should stay live. I think the kids should be developed going on up until the high school varsity level. I think, you know, just going out there scrimmaging, I don't think that's the right way the game is being played. I think the kids should kick off and do the punts and all that because they have to learn. I mean, they're going to eventually be a varsity player, you know, right. So I think they should continue to do it that way.
Coach Cauley?
I kind of agree with that. If you're going to take that part out of the game and it's going to be a scrimmage, then you might as well make it a situational scrimmage where you're going to say, all right, we're going to work third downs for 10 minutes and do this and that. And that would be, you know, a better use of your time than doing it without the special teams, because if you're trying to run a program, you're going to have a young kicker, or you may have a backup kicker that doesn't get to kick on Fridays, but getting that live experience of going out there and kicking, you know, a lot of, especially at the schools I've coached at, it's rare that you have somebody that just kicks. Mm-hmm. They play other positions, so they're going to get hurt. That's and right. You got to have somebody ready to go whenever they do, and that's a good way to get them live practice.
Yeah, and that's exactly right. There's nothing that can substitute experience.
No, sir.
Of actually doing it.
That's right.
Safety. There's so much talk, and you're seeing it now in NFL preseason. I mean, anything remotely looks like a quote-unquote vicious hit, they're throwing the flag for unsportsmanlike. A lot of that has trickled down to high schools through college. There's a big emphasis on concussions. What are things, you know, that you do on a daily basis to try to emphasize player safety? I know as a district, last year we brought in the USA football to teach heads-up football, taking your head out of the tackle. How has that trickled to your teams, Coach Shamburger?
Well, what we do is, even during the summertime, we teach the kids the heads-up tackling drills, and once we get in pads, we go over it again with the kids, and we're trying to take the head out as much as we can because of the concussion situation. But football is a contact sport, and a lot of times, I think when a running back is running the ball, the defender might not be trying to use his head, but it's just natural reaction, and sometimes it happens. It's just a tough deal, though. It's going to be hard to take their head out of the game, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, and we start every practice on defense, and we even do it on offense sometimes, where we do tackling and block defeat and things like that at the beginning of practice, and it's part of what we do daily, and we try to teach the right way and the safe way. And for the most part, our kids are really good about it. And I've got to say, in the past 4 to 5 years, the concussions that on our teams have really gone down to where you just don't see it as much. And I think that has a lot to do with the rules at practice about how much contact you can have. And at first I was, man, that's really going to make us soft. But I was remembering back to high school, and we only had 30 players, so we never hit at practice. And we were mean on Friday nights because we was ready to hit because we haven't hit all week. And I think that that's part of it. I think that the kids are learning how to do it. We're learning a safer way to practice and kind of minimizing the opportunity to get head injuries because we're not hitting and as much at practice, and it's a Friday night thing. And kids naturally learn how to not get hit hard. It's not a natural act to run as fast as you can into another person running as fast as they can. You're going to try to avoid it.
That's right.
And with us emphasizing it too, I think it helps a lot.
Yeah, and I think what we've done as a district and at the local schools is you just put more emphasis on the education of concussions. The trainers that you have, of course, are well schooled in concussion protocols and taking care of kids if they have any type of symptoms. We never take anything for granted. Anything, if a kid comes up to you and says they have a headache, they're out. It's just, so I think teaching those fundamentals of removing that head out of the tackle as much as possible, educating the players and the parents, I think has helped tremendously in limiting. And plus, having availability with MDs and it's just helped the situation with player safety here in Mobile. Well, good luck Thursday night.
Thank you.
I wish both of you the best this season.
Appreciate
I know everybody's ready and excited to get the year off and kicking off. So I'll be there. Seeing you at Last Stadium at 7 o'clock Thursday night. Thank you for tuning in to today's show. Thank you again to Coach Cauley and Coach Shamburger for joining us. We'll be back next week.